this is Rebecca from Pt4, and I'm here with just a short tutorial and an update from the last batch of paper I made. You'll see that this looks very similar. What I have done is lifted it up out of the water. It's still wet, it's just drained a little bit, as you can see here. I wanted to demonstrate how to put whole flowers on sheets already made, and the way that I do it to keep myself a border is I leave the mold on it, and I just place, in this case I got some more hydrangeas, as you can see, so I just place them down in the wet pulp so that they just are slightly submerged, I guess is a good way to put it. And I've already done 4 of these. I'm just going to put this one right here, and I'm just showing you on this last page that I'm doing just how I do this, and then I remove the decal, and you'll see it's very, very saturated. So I have a sponge here, and this, I've already been using this obviously. So I put the sponge underneath, and I don't want to turn it over to show it to you just yet, but I just put the sponge underneath the screen, and it will soak up the water from the underside. And on little blocks like this, on little pieces of paper, I do this usually instead of turning it up sideways like you saw me on a previous video. So I just use this, and then I just squeeze it out back into my tub over here, and just to get the excess water out of the sponge, and then I just use it, and you can actually see it picking up the water. I've got it now under this corner, and you can see it, the water disappearing down into the sponge. So I'll just keep doing that until I'm satisfied that I got a reasonable amount of water out of it, and I'll just keep rubbing it around from side to side and corner to corner. Now, like the other video, got this set up just a little bit differently than normal. So I'm going to pull this layer away, and I'm going to turn this upside down here, and here you'll get to see what I was talking about when you push down and see how the water beads up. And then what I have is 2 hand towels underneath here, and it just pulls the water back through. And then I have another sponge that's not as saturated, and here I'm just finishing pulling the water from the bottom side of this screen to get as much water as possible. Now, as of yet, I haven't had one to stay on the cloth when I pick it up, and it's really doubtful this one will too, but you never can tell. So over we go. Now, because I'm still using the same paper base as I used in the previous video, it still has a few little, right, here's one, just a little stem. But like I said in, I think the second part of the video, if you're doing just paper or doing petals of flowers and not flowers that have stems, you will not have this problem. And the way that I fix little small places, especially on the edge, I'll take the one that I use to absorb the water, and it will have some excess water in it, and I'll just squeeze a drop and then just pat it into place. And if I've squeezed a lot of water, then I'll dry it again from the back side, but I don't think I need to do that here. Now, I'm going to move this, because I set this up just to show you this part. So I'm going to move this and put the 4 back that I've done already. So these are the 4 that I've done already, and now I'm getting ready to add this one to this batch. And so I just pat it down like this, and you can see the others. And I just put whole blooms from these kind of blue hydrangeas. It's got just a little bit of purple in some of the blooms. So so that's what I wanted to show you. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the cover on this, because after I turn the camera off, I'll be lifting up all of these tiles and putting them underneath. But I want to put this over so it can start absorbing the water out of those that I just made. And while I'm here, all of the paper that I made last week has dried. So here is the 4.5, which you did see, but they needed just a little bit more drying time. And so these are the 4.5-inch square ones. These are the 5x7s. This one's one I'm going to do a project with just a little later in the video. And then here is the 5 sheets that will go in the market. Now, you might be wondering, what am I doing with these now? I actually have a festival that I'm going to in the middle of June, and that's why I'm making some more paper. So this is the 8x10 sheets. Now let me turn them this way, because I've got the camera kind of zoomed in a little bit. So those are those, and here's the back side of one, so you can see they look very similar. The back side will always be just a little flatter, but there is those. So after I finish with this batch of paper that I'm doing right now, I'll be coming in and making a little project with this piece right here. So that will be the next thing up. So today we're going to do a project using my handmade paper, and I'm taking my inspiration from these little things that I picked up at a thrift store several years ago. I've had them at least 3 years, I'm sure. These are all in the cellophane packet, so they're a little glary, but these two were not. So they're like a tag. They are made from handmade paper and with a few little embellishments. They have one little bitty piece of card on the inside that's just been folded and glued right here, like that. And so this is an inspiration for the project that we're about to do. So I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants a little bit, because I've never made a project with my own paper, but I'm going to treat it just like any other scrapbook paper or cardstock or that sort of thing, and see where it takes me using these as kind of an inspiration. I think my favorite one is this one, and I've got a ton of dried flowers. I don't think I'll be using any of those today, but it definitely gives me ideas for the future for making things like this. So these would be great just tucked into a little pocket in a journal. Okay, so let me bring over, this is the piece of paper that we're going to do. It's a 5x7. Let me show you what I have in mind. I've got these are pieces of probably 2 or 3 or 4 6x6s that I cut up into small pieces, and there's that one. I've got a couple of bags they're like a burlap, but it's more I think it might be synthetic burlap, but anyway, it had rice in it, and so I was thinking of cutting up a section of that to use. I've got some little embellishments here that I may or may not use. And I've got some string that I think has stuck to one of the bags in there. Oh, here it is. This is the part that was sewn at the top, and I just undid it, so I think we'll use some of that. And then I've got my other little book of embellishments over here. This one and this one kind of fits in the same line as these two, and I'll link the video where I made this back in the winter time. And then I've got one piece of coffee dyed paper that I thought I could use as a little booklet. So with that, now the one thing that these little scraps have that I really don't care for is the white backs. So it might be the ones that I plan on using for little journaling cards and that sort of thing, that I take my ink, maybe spray it, not sure yet, and just coat the back so that it's not stark white. Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a piece, I think I want the other bag actually, take this piece of if I can even think, burlap sack. I think I'll just cut right down through here, cut that seam out, and then cut right across through here. I'm just looking for basically something to make a little square. I'm going to leave this on for now to see if I want to keep it or not, but I'm just going to pull some threads so, to, you know, give it a roughed up edge. Yeah, I think it needs to come off. Okay, let's just clean that up a little bit, straighten it up a little bit, and that looks pretty good. It might be still a little too big. Now, my plan is to score it down the middle like this and fold it and make just a tiny little folio. And I was wanting to use this somehow, but I think it is a little too big yet. So let's bring it down just a little bit more, and hopefully I'm in shot. I've got my camera much lower because I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm crafting on top of where my paper's drying, so the camera's sitting, or the camera's not higher, actually it's a little lower, but what I'm working on is like 8 inches taller than normal. Let's pull that down. Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit more in keeping with what I'm looking for. And then in these, let me gather up my trash. In these, there was a little bitty one that I thought would make a good stamp. Let's see if I can find it. That might be it. Just double check what I even pulled out. I just went by the color mainly. I know I've got 2 or 3 of those same ones. Yep, this must be it. So I am going to here at my row of scissors. I'm just going to barely hit the edge of that. That might have been too just to make it look a little bit more like a stamp. I'm cutting it with these paper zigzag pinking, and then I'm going between and cutting the ones in between because they're a little wide, especially for this small stamp. So okay, that looks good. And it's been a while since I've used this. Nope, it has nothing. So let's put a little ink. I think I need to make some more. And I think though when I empty this, I'm going to wash my bottle out and run it through the dishwasher and start again. It don't want to close that well. Now this is going to be very juicy, so I'm just barely going to touch it. Now, where I've been making paper for the last week or so, maybe a week and a half, let me get my stamp and then I'll finish my sentence. Where I've been making paper, I have my ironing station and that sort of thing really stacked up with paper, so I'm a little crowded in here today. I'm just gonna throw a little bit of this coffee ink right on this, and I really need to use this. Just gonna, there we go. That's all that needed. And glue, and this is a fabric glue, and if it will ever come out. Come on, any day now. There's a movie somewhere, or a song, can't remember the, okay, let's put that like that. I probably should be scoring this before I do too much more. Okay, I will do that here just in a second. Yeah, I get caught up in how I'm gonna design it and completely forget what it is that I'm gonna do with it. So this is not necessarily the order of operation, just in case somebody wants to copy it verbatim. Now, because this is quite a thin piece of paper, but it's actually thicker than this, but I know that it's not the same bond, you know, fibers per million or whatever the measurement would be. Let's see if I can keep myself in shot here. So this is a 5x7, like I said, so half will be 3.5. What I was going to say is, if the score line, if the paper breaks, then I'll just make a couple of tags out of it. So moment of truth. I know they make good tags, and I know that you can punch them because I do that quite often. But I'm not going to go very hard, because it's not a hard paper, but I am going to do it twice. And you can see it there. So here we go, moment of truth. Now there's a fiber right in the middle of that. So let's see if I can break that without damaging the paper or making a hole. Oh, that wasn't even it. I can't see it the way the light is. It was in the wrong place. Here it is. Okay, let's see if that did it. Okay, I think there we go. Alright, so that worked out. And it's just a little bit off. Again, I'm going to treat it like normal paper. Give it just adjust that fold just slightly. But I like that already. That's cute as a button. I probably ought to be putting a button on that, but now let's see if the glue is, you can feel the coldness of it, but I feel no dampness whatsoever. Okay, so there's the beginning of the front. And what I'm going to do now is put that aside, put this aside, and get out my decal edge trimmer. I would actually like to tear this, but in order to get the, let me double check and make sure I've got the right size here. Yeah, okay. To get as much paper out of this as possible without having to get another sheet, I'm gonna just trim it. So that's not right. This is right. So this is a 9 by 12 piece of paper, so I'm going to cut it into decal it, and then I'm going to just go enough around the edges to give me the decal edge, and then we'll come back in and cut and fold the paper as needed. That one might be a little crooked. Come out there, you. Oh, it will do. And then that one. Okay, now let's do the other one real quick. It'd help if I had it against the right line. It won't cut it if I don't have it under the blade. Alright. Now, yeah, I've not done a whole lot of crafting. I've been doing lots of other things, so I'm going on muscle memory a little bit right here. Alright, so half of 11 is 5 1/2, and then half of a half is 1/4, so add 1/4. So it should be 5 3/4 to give me my middle. Like so. Now, I want them to fold back in on themselves, but I don't want them to really touch in the middle. So let's do it at about 8 3/4 this way. So that's going to be 3 inches, and then 1 2 3 this way. Yeah, I'm just making this up as I go along. And then we'll fold those in this way, those this way. And then we have this. Now, we can put that right in there. As I could have left that a little wider, but I didn't. So, but what we'll have is just a little fold out for writing space. But one thing I want to do, I want to ink those edges just a little bit. And I'm going to attempt to do it to both of them at the same time, because it don't have to be on every single little thing, but I would like it enough to give some contrast between it and the bluish color of the paper. The next thing I want to do is bind this in. Well no, I guess I'm going to need that sort of. I'm talking to you with the needle in my mouth. Okay. Now let's see if I can get this to cooperate the first time around. Let's see if I can even see it. I went on the 20th of May to my sister's eye doctor because I was not happy with mine here in town. So I drove 3 hours. Actually, drove 3 hours, spent the night with my parents, then drove another hour into the next county to go to her eye doctor, and it was worth every bit of the time. So much better than the service I was getting here. Now I'm just eyeballing that, and I'm using, I guess I could get down here, because I know I keep forgetting that I'm in a much smaller space. So I just put the paper in here and just kind of eyeballing the middle slightly like that, and I probably ought to mark that a little bit better. Because I'm here talking about my eyes, and my eyes are not as good as I would like for them to be in this position. Okay, so there's that one, and that one. Well, I've been just crafting away and not paying attention to my camera, and the battery had died. So I won't know until I go to edit it where it stopped and where I started. But just in case, this is the front. I haven't finished it yet. I made a pocket with some little journaling cards and sewed in the signature, and then made some little journaling cards for this little pocket I put. And I was in the midst of putting a tuck spot on the back to add some more of these little things too, and looked up and realized my camera had turned off. So we'll see. The one thing I'm going to do is just look through my little booklet real quick and just see if I've got some things in here that I could use instead of, or just use as something new as opposed to the ones I've already used. Don't really want that one. Let's flip over here. and see what I've got. That's not really what I want, but let's go back over here. That's a good one. Several of those. Okay, I think, let's see what this is. We'll put that in. Okay. So, just in case the camera was already off, one thing I said when I started making the little cards was I'm not going to ink the backs on camera. So I am going to put this though. I'll take this one out, put that one in, I think. Yes. Okay. And that could go like that. So let's trim or round the corners on these and tuck them in to that spot. And I think we can call that part done, and then I'm going to go back to the front and find some inspiration there to do it. Okay. Let's put that like that. Well, that kind of needs to stay straight since it's so big. And that one actually goes this way. I don't think I'm quite glued down yet. Alright. I'm wondering if this one big one wouldn't be better back here. With this tag on top of it. And then put these back up here. Like so. I suppose I could put that in upside down, but it don't look right that way. So, I can do it that way. And then I'll put this one over here. Alright, that's all the little pieces. I'm not going to put that one in. Okay, I almost forgot to turn the camera on when I came back. So, I found a little button that sort of matched the color, and I tied some of that brown string from it that came off of this piece of rice bag. And I got these little paper flowers, but I'm going to trim, keep losing my scissors, I'm going to trim these little whatever you call these things on flowers. Stamens maybe. Take those off and glue my button in the middle of that. And now I do have some blue hydrangeas, and I debated on whether to put one of those on here, but I'm afraid with use and whatnot it might get damaged, so I'm going for one of these paper ones. So I'm going to put this on here first. Like so, and get it glued or stuck at least. And then I still want those to show through a little bit, so I thought about putting it about right here. I think I'll leave that little tail on, or I might actually touch it down with just a tad of glue here. And actually I could do it like that. Something like that. I'll use fabric glue for that. So let me glue the back side of this thing down. Today or tomorrow, anytime would be good. Okay, give it a good coating. And I want to put it right there. Or maybe like that more. Okay, so let's put the lid on that. And while I hold it, just to make sure everything sits where it's supposed to be, I'm going to dot on one side of this. I like it. I found it at a thrift store. I don't know if I'd actually buy it, but I do like it. Okay, just a little dot of glue there. And put those little threads down on it. And I'm going to put just a dot there. Well, if it will cooperate. Okay. It might take more than just a dot to do what it is I want to do here. But I don't want to saturate anything. And I don't want to pull it loose either. The problem is I have glue on my fingers. The thread wants to stick to my fingers more than it wants to stick to where I've glued down. So let's find, okay, that's doing good. I'm going to use my there we go. That's more like what I was looking for. Maybe not that flat, but just rough it up slightly so it still looks 3D. There. Okay, so what we need now is a little word. I'm going to go back to my, I tore the top of this one. Or when I ripped them, I printed these off and then coffee dyed the paper. I'm gonna try to decal the edge in the same way I did the little stamp. Although I'd rather have the torn paper, but it was the edge of the page. So that's always really hard to do. Go in just a little bit here. Okay. And a little ink. And a little glue. Now I can't stop looking at the camera to make sure that it's not turned off. It's an older camera, and the camera's fine. There's nothing wrong with the camera, but the batteries are old, and it would just do me better to buy a whole new camera than it would to try to replace the batteries. But I'm not there yet. So it'll just have to do for the moment. Alright, now okay, well, how about this as a little project for handmade paper? Just a little booklet. I kind of like this. I haven't done anything like this before with my own handmade paper. I've always just made it and sold it, and other people have done this sort of thing. But yeah, I'll spray the backs of these little. I'm wondering, should I or shouldn't I? Let's just do a little bit on the tips here, just so that they're not quite so stark. And then I can move that enough to get a little in there. Alright, that is it. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will be back with some more paper making as soon as the opportunity presents itself.